Hello and welcome to Learn, Do, Become Radio. My name is Alia and I'm one of the team members here. And at Learn, Do, Become, we help people who are drowning in the details of life create simple systems so they can do what matters most. And I love that this is kind of our little catchphrase at Learn, Do, Become. And I think it especially applies during this end of the year season where we have a lot that kind of gets packed into the end of the year, whether it be holiday things, community events, seeing family, friends, whatever it might look like in your life. And I want to recognize that I know that not everyone's holiday season looks the same, whether it's different holidays that you're celebrating, maybe distance from family, maybe there's different emotional or relational challenges. I know that things will look different for every single person. So I want to keep that in mind as I introduce this podcast and as I talk about things that I'm doing in my own life. So I hope that as you listen, you can take the pieces of information that I'm sharing and adapt them to meet your needs and your situation, because I know that I'm at a different stage of life than many of you listening, but I love that at the core of Learn, Do, Become, we're really focused on streamlining the different projects and routines and tasks that we have going on, so that way we can really feel fulfilled and not overwhelmed and not super stressed out, and that we can create meaningful experiences no matter what that looks like in our lives. So I wanted to put that out there and let you know that if the holiday season is a little bit tricky for you, I see you, and we are here to support you in doing something that might be more with you and your community, or that you might find fulfilling for yourself. So that's what I wanted to start out with, since I know it looks different for everyone. And I also wanted to let you know that we have a free holiday planning workshop. So if you're feeling like the details of the end of the year and whatever holidays you're celebrating might be feeling too overwhelming, we have a free holiday planning workshop at learndobecome.com/holiday. And it's a really fun workshop that has 5 lessons, and it's things that we've done every year as a family and that I've done in my own life ever since I got married a few years ago. And it's just ways to really create a good map of the holiday season and the end of the year and figure out what are you most excited to do and how can you incorporate that into your life versus having all the expectations or things that you feel like, oh, I probably should do that. This would be a good idea. I love that the holiday planning workshop really helps you figure out what are you most excited to do, and then how can you create projects and tasks to support you in doing said things. So let's jump into that. And then at the end, I'll also share a little bit about our Arise membership and how we have an awesome holiday focus this month in November 2025. And then how in December 2025, we have a fun topic coming up about preparing our goals for 2026. So that'll be a little bit at the end. But to start out, my parents have had this focus and this topic that they've talked about in our own family and at Learn, Do, Become this month. And they basically said this: what if this year's holidays were organized and joyful, peaceful and productive? And what if you never felt hurried or exhausted because all the important things got done and you still felt healthy, rested, and balanced? And what if your relationships got stronger, the magic of the holidays showed up big time, and the meaning behind it all actually took the spotlight? And I love the way that they phrase this, because it's not one or the other. It's not that we have to be super organized and we can't actually enjoy the time that we're spending with community or family. Or it's not that we have to be only productive and we can't have that peace. Or it's not that we have to feel like, oh, I'm just so busy, I'm tired, and I just have to take on everything for everyone. We can actually enjoy what we're creating because we're building in time to rest and find replenishment. And I love this focus because right now in my season of life, my husband's in medical school and we have 2 young children, 2 years and 6 months. So the holidays are looking different for us. And there's a lot of things that we could expect for ourselves, but I really had to streamline and simplify and realize that, we're not going to do everything that we've done in years past, and that's okay. We're going to customize it to meet our needs right now, and then we can make it a great experience no matter what. So I want to share 5 things that we've done that have incorporated different STEP principles. And if you're new to Learn, Do, Become, STEP stands for Steps to Everyday Productivity, and it's our signature program here at Learn, Do, Become. And it essentially is where we teach you how to break down your goals into smaller projects and then breaking those projects into tasks that can be accomplished while also incorporating your routines that are going on in the background or that need to be maybe focused on specifically during a certain time of year. So the first thing that I want to highlight is that I have a very small routines list of things that must happen every single year at certain times of the year. And if you haven't already created a routines list, this could be a great exercise to see how much you actually have going on behind the scenes that you're fitting on your plate on top of all the other projects and things that you're adding in as new items. Because sometimes when we have a lot of routines in our life, it's not possible to take on a lot of brand new projects because a lot of our time and energy is going toward those routines that must happen. And some of them are essential, like the regular routines of the week, washing dishes and doing laundry and those kind of general upkeep things. But sometimes we have monthly routines like paying bills or quarterly routines for business or family, whatever that might look like in your life. But I found that when I really streamline my routines for what has to happen toward the end of the year, that gives me a lot of breathing room and open space. And one of the routines that I have is to make an ornament for our children each year. That's something I really loved and looked forward to doing as a kid. So I kind of wanted to pass that along to my own kids. And it's one of my routines where it really matters a lot to me. And if that's the only real holiday routine that I get done, I'll be pretty happy about that because, it's just one of those fun milestone things. And this year we did little ornaments with handprints that were in different colors for Christmas. And we made them for not only our tree, but then also for grandparents. So that's something that I have as a set routine on my routines list. And then I have a calendar reminder to have me start working on it in November and even sometimes early October if I have the energy for it. And I found that that's one of my routines that I can, incorporate into my schedule. And it does become one of my current projects for the month of November or October, wherever I decide to fit it in. But then I'm not expecting a ton more of myself on top of doing that project because I tend to only have a handful of projects, maybe 2 to 4 projects on my list at a time. We recommend having no more than 8 total projects that you're working on each month. And I found that 2 to 4 is kind of the sweet spot for me right now because I'm able to have a work project or 2 as well as a personal project and a family project. And that feels like all I'm able to accomplish right now because a lot of my life does involve a lot of routines with taking care of our kids and the household and other things I'm doing for work. So I found that streamlining routines has been a game changer for me. So if you're looking at your routines list and you have a bunch of things that must happen in your business or your family or your personal life, and these are things that really require significant time and energy, I would invite you to see what could be streamlined, what could be delegated to other people in your life, what could be totally deleted from the list if it's not an essential. And then that way you have more breathing room to take on new projects or incorporate things that you're excited to do during the holiday season. So that's basically my only big routine that I have. And another routine I'll add on that maybe kind of fits in for some people's holidays is having family pictures done. And I know some people like to send a Christmas card. That's not quite what I'm doing maybe in the future, but it's really important to me as well to get a yearly family picture done. Not something super fancy or professional, but we have a friend who does pictures, and that's something I try to do every summertime before the holiday season starts. So that way it's not something I'm trying to tack on during the actual holiday season with all the busyness. So those are just 2 examples of my routines that I really prioritize, and I let myself have a pretty open routines list outside of those things. Obviously I have a lot that's going on weekly and daily for work and personal life, but as far as the big things that are happening throughout the year, that's about all I have. All right, the next thing is number 2 is how I've been really minimal about decorations this year. We don't have a ton of decorations in general. We have one storage box full of decorations. And in past years, we've gotten out almost everything in the box, from little decorations to put around the house, a wreath for the front door, some Christmas ornaments, things like that. And this year we have a 6-month-old and we're still figuring out sleep and all that stuff with the baby. And we also have our 2-year-old toddler, and he's very tall now and can reach most of the surfaces in our house. So we didn't think that having all of our Christmas decorations out would be great this year. And I love that we were able to give ourselves that quote unquote permission to minimize decorations, because at first I looked at the box and thought, I should try to find a place for stockings. We don't really have a traditional place for that. So I was going to see if I could put command hooks up and put them up, and then find ways to set up little decorations out of reach of our toddler. And that just felt like a lot of work, and that wasn't feeling exciting to me. So I decided, I'm just going to minimize this. We're going to spend one night just setting out a couple of our favorite decorations. We have a little nativity that we set out. We did put the wreath on our front door, and we have a couple ornaments that we put on our Christmas tree. But I would say about 70 to 80% of our Christmas decorations are still in the box. They're not coming out this year, and we know that they're still there. They're going to be there in years to come, but we can give ourselves permission to just keep it simple and really keep it streamlined, because that's what meets our needs best right now. And I feel so good about that, because if I weren't in this mindset, I think I would be stressing myself out of, all right, how can I make it work? And how can I keep the fragile things away from him? And how do we set it all up so it looks nice but not cluttered? All those different things that would be swirling in my brain. But I love that we're able to take a good account of what's going on and then just keep it simple. And we've actually had several people here at Learn to Become say, I'm just so grateful you guys give me permission to do X, Y, and Z. And of course, no one needs our explicit permission to do anything in their lives. But if you do feel like it is helpful to have someone give you the green light and say, this is okay to really simplify and not do whatever you might have done in years past, consider this your little permission to do whatever you want. Keep it simple and don't feel like you need to meet other people's expectations for the holiday season. All right, number 3 is how I have focused on planning a family trip to go back to Utah and see our families as our main family current project. This is something that since we do live pretty far away from our family, we're in Iowa, so it is a big distance, and the flights usually aren't super ideal. There's nothing direct, and I'm not going to drive with both of our little kids, especially with winter conditions. Who knows how that will look? So my husband and I talked about it and said, we're going to plan a family trip, and we're going to plan it a little earlier in the season so it doesn't overlap with any direct holidays. And it isn't going to be the most convenient time for all of our siblings to see us and stuff, but we're going to make it work, and we're going to really focus on making it a great experience no matter how it ends up being. We're going to just do our best. And that's been a fun family project to plan. And one thing that I want to highlight is that sometimes our projects will be a current project, and then they might slip into our in progress / waiting projects list where we can't do anything yet on those projects and we just need to wait. And then eventually we can move it back to our current projects list. And that's what I had to do with this particular project to go visit our family. We bought tickets back in July because they had a really good flight sale that we needed to jump on. So we did that. We got our flights back in July. And then I wrote that down in my in progress / waiting project as planned family trip in December. And then as I was thinking about different things, I would go back to that project. I store it digitally in a project management software called Asana. We talk about that a little bit here at Learn to Become. It's spelled ASANA. Anyways, I had that project written down, and then anytime something came to my mind about that project, I would go into the digital project and then just take a little note of something I thought we should pack or something I would like to incorporate into our time with family. And that way all the thoughts were completely out of my head, but then they were right there in my project ready for me when I was ready to deal with them or make an action with them. And I loved having all that safe in one spot. And then as each month came and went from July to now in November, I've been able to look at my project, and back in October, I brought it back to my current projects list because I needed to talk to family members and figure out, okay, who's going to be where, which siblings can we see, are we going to plan stuff out with them? And I was also working on buying a couple of things to send because, we do have the baby and need some baby diapers and stuff. And I didn't want to have to pack it all. So I'd start making little lists of things that I wanted to buy and send as we got closer, or even little grocery pickup orders to do things like that. And it was just so nice to have that time last month to really plan out what needed to happen. And then for the next few weeks, and maybe I think about a month after that, it was moved back to my in progress / waiting. And then I'm going to be bringing it back in a week or so to my current projects list. So that way I can finish out the last final details with packing for the trip and making sure that we have everything squared away. And I really loved that because I never felt pressure about this project, even though it's been on my mind and it's been on one of my lists since July. It's been about 5 months now. I haven't felt stressed about it one bit. Obviously, there are a lot of moving parts, and we're having different family dynamics and talking to different people, and nothing's perfect with our extended families, don't get me wrong. But I just love knowing that all the details are safe for the trip, and that when it is time to pack for the trip and actually start making it happen, it'll be on my current projects list, and all the things that I've made notes of are right there for me. And that we can move projects between current and in progress and waiting. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with having to pause a project and not go, oh, I need to complete it all in one sitting and then finish it and check it off. It's okay to have that back and forth and be able to come back to it when the time is right. All right, number 4 is that we decided to do some gifts for neighbors and friends well in advance of the holidays, not only so that we could give them to everyone before they started traveling and doing their own things, but also because I really needed a creative outlet and needed something to do outside of the, adjusting to life with 2 kids, having a little baby. I was finding that I just needed some way to be creative and do something, and I thought this would be perfect to start working on a little neighbor gift and make that a fun thing to do in the evenings a little bit when I need some downtime so that I can start chipping away at the project. And it felt fun for me, it felt fulfilling, and it felt, just like something to change up my routine. And we actually finished all the neighbor gift stuff last week, and we've been giving them out slowly but surely. Next week is going to be Thanksgiving here in the United States, and it's super nice to know that most of our little neighbor and friend gifts, we kept it simple, nothing too crazy, but we gave out almost everything. I think we have 4 left to give to people just because we haven't run into them. But I love knowing that the little neighbor thing we wanted to do for the holidays is done before it's even Thanksgiving here in the United States. And a lot of our friends are students and going to school with my husband, and a lot of them are leaving and traveling for Thanksgiving and Christmas and for the whole break that they have for school. So I love knowing that we were able to at least see everyone quickly and give it to people before they all left, and then we had, to either wait for them to get back or figure out something. So it just feels super nice to have that done well in advance of the holidays. And as you're listening to this, if you're thinking, well, I would love to do something like that, but I didn't get on it early enough, that's the beauty of this holiday planning workshop that we have and the holiday planning resources, is that you don't need to feel bad about something that you didn't do or that didn't go quite the right way this year. You can make a note of that and really keep that in mind of how you want to change things for next year. And maybe you start doing some holiday planning next year using this free workshop in October or early November, whatever that might be better for you. But I love knowing that we can always change things for the future. Nothing has to be set in stone. If things didn't go perfectly this year, then things can be a little bit better next year. And I wanted to share a little personal example of that because last year I was probably the sickest I have ever been. I was pregnant with our daughter, but then also I had some really hard issues with my gallbladder, and I had to get emergency surgery later after the holidays. So it was a really bad time for me during the holiday season. And I was just laying down and so sick and just in probably the worst pain I've ever had in my life while being pregnant. And it was just such a bad experience. And so I felt like, the holidays were ruined last year. I couldn't do as much as I wanted to. It was just so painful, so uncomfortable. I just felt like I was letting everyone down because I wasn't super happy during the holidays. I was just not doing good. And I was able to really reflect on that this year and say, well, I'm so grateful that I have my health back, that I'm doing so much better. And that's why I really wanted to keep it simple and family focused this year, because last year I was not doing great and I was mostly laying down and not really excited to be doing anything holiday related. And this year I thought I want to keep it so simple and focused on family, focused on loved ones, and just really being grateful for every day that I have that I'm healthy. And that was really important to me. So I just want to let you know that if this is a really hard and bad and not awesome holiday season, I get you. I feel you. I was there just last year, and not that everything's perfect this year. We still have, ups and downs, but I was really grateful for that time I could reflect this fall before the holiday season started, to know what I really was hoping for, and that I knew that I could tailor it to my needs and tailor it to be a really positive experience, even though it was going to be a lot more simple. And as my final point that I wanted to share, we're really focusing on doing free community activities as much as we can once we get back from seeing our family in Utah. We're seeing our family relatively early in the month of December, so that way we're going to be home for the rest of December, for Christmas, for New Year's, and we're going to be just staying local and not trying to plan anything extra on top of that. And I've really been looking at different resources that our community has, and our local library has some really fun activities. They have a little New Year's party for the kids that's in the middle of the day so they can celebrate too. And I thought that would be super cute to take our toddler to. And there's just a couple activities going on at church, and also I think the local libraries have so many awesome things. So I think we're going to try to go to a few of those as much as we can. And our local library also has an adventure pass where they have a couple free resources in the community where you can get little passes to the science center or to a botanical garden, to a couple museums. And if you haven't checked out your local library, I think you definitely should, or at least see what might be available in your area. Because my husband was the one who found it, and he said, hey, did you know we can get X amount of free passes to these awesome places in our area just each year with the library card? And I said, I had no idea about that, and I was super grateful that he was able to research that. So that's something we're going to incorporate, where it's nothing super flashy, we're not doing anything really big, but it's really taking advantage of the awesome resources that exist in our community. And I'm so grateful that there are people at the local library and at our church and other places here in the community who are taking their time to put on these fun activities. And I not only want to go and support those people who are putting them on, but I think it will also be a great way for us to have that family time together and fun activities to take our kids to during the holiday season. So I hope that as you listen to this podcast, it gave you ideas not only about just ways that you could shake up the traditional, usual holiday things that you might be doing, especially if it's feeling like too much to take on right now. Maybe looking at more things in your community, or really narrowing down what are those specific routines and projects that actually mean the most to us, and then how can we incorporate those into the holiday season. And I hope that this was helpful and kind of a fun look into the way that I've been doing things, and a good way to reflect on what you're doing and maybe what you want to do this year or even change and do for the future. And again, our free holiday planning workshop is at learndobecome.com/holiday. And this is just an overview of how you can simplify the holidays and really identify your projects and tasks that you're wanting to accomplish to move your holiday plans forward. But then if you're looking for additional support in holiday planning, we have a really fantastic Arise workshop that we just did last week or a week and a half ago. And my parents took us through a new worksheet, and they had an hour-long discussion about it, and the full recording is available. And one of our Arisers actually called it like a speed dating workshop for holiday planning. And we love that and kind of ran with that, because it really was kind of like speed dating to figure out, what are my holiday essentials? How do I want to take care of my mental, physical, and financial health during the holidays so I'm not getting burnout in either area? And there was just a couple other questions that they went through and had us reflect on, and kind of a 2 to 3 minute window for each question. And it was so helpful to have that extra perspective on my holiday planning. So if you'd like to check that out, as well as we also have an awesome upcoming December 2025 topic about preparing our goals for 2026. And if you'd like to check out not only our holiday topic, but also the next month's topic about goal planning, we have a 60-day free trial of our Arise membership. And you're welcome to come on in and experience not only the holiday planning workshop and the goals, but then I think you'll also, the 60 days will kind of go into January a little bit as well. So this is a great time if you're interested in checking out Arise to not only have some holiday planning support, but also have some preparation for the new year and all that's to come. And we're just so grateful that you're here with us. And the week that I am publishing this podcast, it is Thanksgiving week in the United States. So from all of us at Learn to Become to you listening to this podcast, we're so grateful for you. And truly, this community would not be possible without you. And you bring so much to the community with simple comments that you're leaving, or if you're sharing posts in our free community Facebook group, or our Step Mastery Facebook group for those who are in our STEP program. We love hearing from you. We love seeing what you're doing and how you're shaping not only your own life, but the lives of those in your community, your family, those you're working with. You're doing so much for so many people, and we're so grateful to be along with you in this journey of really simplifying and making sure that you're taking care of yourself and not burning yourself out, not feeling overwhelmed, And that's our goal, is to be here to be a support and be a help to you. And if you want to look at any other resources for this podcast, I have the show notes linked, and everything is on the same page at learndobecome.com/episode 308. So thanks again for listening, and we're so grateful to have you here with us. And we'll see you next time here at Learn to Become Radio.